Tonight on News 3 New Mexico, local students are finding a way to give back to the community.
Also, I'll give you your full weekend weather forecast.
And the latest on the riots in Ferguson, News 3 New Mexico begins right now.
This is News 3 New Mexico, your local source for news, sports, and first weather.
Good evening, I'm Cheyenne Cope. Well, today marks the first snow of fall for 2014. We're going to go ahead and toss it over to Zach Self, who has your first look at weather. Zach.
Thanks, Cheyenne. Well, if you were in certain parts of eastern New Mexico and peeked outside this morning, then you saw a thin coat of snow covering the ground. This light snowfall is expected to continue through this evening. Tomorrow you can expect mostly sunny skies with things warming up a little bit into the 40s and 50s for eastern New Mexico and West Texas. Then on Saturday, even warmer temperatures will be moving into the state, warming things up into the 60s. However, these temperatures will not remain for long because on Saturday, your highs will be in the low 30s. Also on Sunday, there is a chance for some snowfall again, and this time it just may accumulate. I'll have more for you in my full look at weather, but for right now, let's get back to the news desk.
Thanks, Zach. Authorities say one person is dead following a fiery single-engine plane crash south of Santa Fe. Lieutenant Mike Post of the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office says the crash occurred Wednesday night just north of Klein's Corners, near US 285, about 50 miles south of Santa Fe. He says one person was found dead in the wreckage and investigators don't think anyone else was on board. The plane was privately owned and was damaged by flames. The Federal Aviation Administration says the plane was flying to Phoenix from Amarillo, Texas. And with Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up, the season for giving is in full swing, and a student group at Portales High School is getting in on the action. The group came up with the idea to collect food to give to families of needy students. Two students share exactly what FCA is and what they are doing to help their community.
Well, FCA is providing a food drive, and we are looking to help families in need of a Thanksgiving. We, as students, will get, for example, we will get items like macaroni and cheese, turkey, and Bibles, so we can also share a couple words of wisdom with you and just let you have a better Thanksgiving.
In addition to the Thanksgiving boxes, the FCA also does Christmas caroling at nursing homes and during the summer cleans homes and yards for the elderly. Even with the many community service projects, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes are always looking to do more. And a new anonymous social app has been creating issues for campuses nationwide. This app allows users in the area to posts called Yaks, which are viewable across a global positioning system determined area. Because the users remain unknown, posts have gotten to the point of threatening other students' safety. Eastern New Mexico Resident Hall staff received many disturbing Yaks in September, and the university's newspaper The Chase reported and published the many screenshots of threatening posts of beating residents' assistants and other Eastern students. Yesterday, Eastern New Mexico University's Ronnie Bertson, Vice President of Enrollment Services, called together a web seminar for administration and faculty. This meeting brought this app to higher education administration's attention. Administrators learned what the app is and how it's affecting the university. No word on how the app can be controlled and censored. With a grand jury decision on the horizon, officials in Ferguson are getting ready for more protests, knowing some of them could be violent. Here's more on the story.
As the grand jury announcement on whether to indict Officer Darren Wilson grows ever nearer, the Missouri governor sent a message out to everyone. Law enforcement is...
That grand jury is expected to make its decision in the next few weeks. And people in Kansas and Oklahoma are assessing the damage after being shaken by a 4.8 magnitude earthquake. On Wednesday, the quake's epicenter was 33 miles southwest of Wichita, Kansas. While there were no injuries, one man in Enid, Oklahoma, says the quake did a number on his home. Here's more on the story.
A slanted refrigerator, ceiling tiles out of place, gaps in the walls, all.
Black Friday brings out the bargain hunters in many of us. People across the country rush to wait outside their favorite stores before even the Thanksgiving dinner has had a chance to cool. They get there hours before the doors open, eager to be the first to get their hands on the best deals. But for two Southern California women, hours is not enough. Vicky Torres and Juanita Solis of Beaumont have been camped outside of Best Buy in Beaumont since last Wednesday. That's 22 days before the deals are unleashed at their favorite electronics store. They've been doing it for years, and this year they want a deal on a new TV.
From here around the corner, all around, you'll see it's going to be hectic.
Kmart will be opening its doors at 6 a.m. on Thanksgiving. Best Buy, JCPenney's, and Toys R Us will be open at 5 p.m. And Walmart, Kohl's, Sears, Macy's, and Target will be open at 6 p.m. And coming up after the break, we have your full look at weather with Zach Self, so stay tuned. We'll be right back. Tonight on News 3 New Mexico, Eastern New Mexico University is mourning the loss of a former football coach.
And I'll tell you what you can expect the rest of this week in my full weather forecast.
As well as today's Health Minute in sports with Lakeisha Griffin. It's Thursday, December 4th, and News 3 New Mexico begins right now.
This is News 3 New Mexico, your local source for news, sports, and first weather.
Good evening, I'm Kennedy Catono.
And I'm Cheyenne Cope. We begin our broadcast tonight with sad news for Eastern New Mexico University. The university lost a member of its coaching fraternity Wednesday morning as former head coach Jack Scott died in Lubbock of renal failure at the age of 85. Earlier today, athletic director Jeff Geiser spoke about the coach, his legacy here at Eastern.
Coach Scott's legacy, though, is manifested in his players, his young men that he coached, because I don't know if I've ever known a coach who's more loved by his ex-players. And to me, that is the true compliment of a coach.
Scott was the 8th coach in the history of the Greyhound football program. Scott coached from 1970 to 1977. He inherited a 1-9 squad and went 40 to 41-2 over 8 years with 4 consecutive winning seasons from 1973 to 1976. He remains 5th in the Greyhound program in career wins.
State health officials say New Mexico has its first confirmed case of measles since February 2012. The Department of Health says the case involves a 1-year-old Rio Arriba County child who has not been immunized against the disease. Health Secretary Rita Ward says the department is working with the child's family and the hospital that treated the child to identify people who may have been exposed to the disease. Measles is highly contagious and is easily transmitted person to person via droplets or through the air. Early symptoms include red eyes, fever, runny nose, and cough. The city of Albuquerque announced this week that local NAACP leader Harold Bailey has been hired to help with upcoming changes in the city's troubled police, but some advocates are criticizing the move. Jewel Hall, president of Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Center and a police critic, says Bailey sold his soul since others have been asking to be more engaged with reform efforts. She and other critics have complained that they were not involved in negotiations over a U.S. Justice Department agreement to reform the city's police agency.
And New Mexico senators were successful in getting some important New Mexico projects funded by Congress, which includes a transition of the Valles Caldera National Preserve on new management, allowing for more public access. The Valles Caldera is home to one of the country's largest elk herds and is plush with other wildlife. But right now it's very hard for members of the public to get in. This project, along with many others, are part of the National Defense Authorization Act, which was finalized by Congress Tuesday night. And now let's toss it over to Zach Self, who has your first look at weather. What's going on out there, Zach?
Thanks, Cheyenne. Things felt a bit cooler outside today, even though today's highs were in the upper 50s and low 60s. This was because we had a little bit of moisture moving through the state. As we head into tonight for parts of eastern New Mexico, there is still a 10% chance of showers. As far as our temperatures the next several days, tomorrow the highs will be in the mid to upper 60s, with things cooling off slightly on Saturday with your daytime highs in the mid to upper 50s. This has been your first look at weather. Stay tuned later in the show as we take a look at your full weather forecast. But for right now, let's get back to the news desk.
Thanks, Zach. St. Louis Rams tight end Jared Cook says he received death threats for the hands up, don't shoot gesture he and 4 other teammates did before last week's game.
Have you received a lot of threats?
Absolutely.
Are you getting extra security?
No.
The hands-up gesture was adopted by protesters of the shooting death of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. Cook argues hands up, don't shoot is not a Ferguson thing, it's a worldwide thing, and says he would have done it again, no problem.
President Obama is once again promising to make changes to the criminal justice system. After a grand jury decided not to indict an officer in the chokehold death of Eric Garner, but after Ferguson and now New York City, the White House knows all too well patience is wearing thin. Jim Acosta reports.
Sensing a crisis that is growing, President Obama waited just a few hours to weigh in.
President Obama says he wants to move quickly to start rebuilding trust in law enforcement in minority communities. He's calling on his new 21st Century Police Tasking Force, launched on Monday, to issue its recommendations in less than 90 days.
And Texas, along with 16 other states, is suing to stop President Obama's executive action on immigration. It comes about 2 weeks after the president announced the action, which includes stopping deportation for parents of U.S. citizens. Yesterday, Texas Attorney General and Governor-elect Greg Abbott said that the executive order issued by President Obama, as well as the orders issued by the federal agencies to fulfill the president's executive order, are illegal. All but 2 of the states included in the lawsuit have Republican governors.
Don't go anywhere. We'll have your full look at weather after the break.
But first, here's a look at today's financial markets.